Hi there, welcome back to another year of Inside Franklin and Marshall Wrestling. I'm Brad Weltman here for GoDiplomats.com. Joined as always by Franklin and Marshall head wrestling coach Mike Rogers, and doing things a little bit different this year with special guests and fan questions. And our first guest up this year is 2014 All-American Rick Durso. Rick, thanks a lot for sitting down here with us, and Mike, thanks as always for being here. So let's jump right into things with talk about the Rutgers duels a little bit from last weekend. Mike, talk about the level of competition a little bit. I mean, you talked in the preseason interview a little bit how you wanted your guys to get more experience against Big Ten opponents. You wanted them to see more EIWA opponents throughout the season, and you kind of hit on both of those fronts right in your opening weekend.
Yeah. Overall, we knew it was going to be a tough weekend going in there with, Binghamton's a very strong conference team, and Rutgers is a very strong Big Ten team. I think they're 15th or so. I mean, I think arguably they could be a top 10 team. But the big thing that we wanted to go in there is get the experience, find out where we're at, what we need to work on, what areas of weakness do we need to address. I think going in, preseason, you're always you have an idea based on last year's performance and past performances what you need to focus on, but you never know that until you actually get in competition and you guys are actually wrestling. Then you see the areas of improvement that we need to keep going on and the areas of weakness. So and wrestling those guys that that upper level guy, they just those Big Ten guys and the upper conference teams, they wrestle at a higher level, higher pace. And, we need to see that. We need to feel that pressure. We need to feel that performance stress to learn how to deal with it. There's only one way to, learn is to actually be out there in that environment. So it was a tough weekend. I mean, we took our lumps, but it's a long season. I mean, it goes till March, so we're not going to get too hung up one way or another. If we would have done well, we still got work to do. And if, we didn't have the results we wanted, we're still going to keep moving forward.
Right. Talk about the atmosphere there a little bit. I mean, they estimated the crowd to be about 1,200 or so for the Rutgers match. How important was that early on in the season to get you guys some experience like that? I
think it's important. I mean, wrestling in front of those crowds and having those many eyes on you and going into a hostile environment. Rutgers does a great job of bringing fans to their dual meets, and our guys have to deal with that outside distraction and that pressure of that crowd. Experience. So it's just good. It's going to prepare him for Rick. He's been in those upper level competitions. He's been to the NCAAs, every year, and his placing and been in the top rounds of every big tournament. So, but it's still good for him to see that kind of experience and feel that environment. And it's different from a team to a dual meet. A tournament situation, NCAAs. There's so much going on that. You can look at 10 mats and watch 10 different matches going on. When it's a dual meet, it's one match going on, and you got all that focus on you, and that's a different type of stress and anxiety that you got to learn to adjust and deal with.
And Rick, you got a big match under your belt pretty much right at the beginning here. You faced off against Rutgers' Anthony Ashnault. How important is it to get a big match like that under your belt this early in the year?
It's important, definitely, but like me and Coach Rogers were saying before, it's not the end-all, be-all. A lot of times if I'm getting, in my head caught up with, big matches and not big matches, they're all pretty much the same. They're all work for the end of the season, and they're all preparation for the end of the season. At the end of the day, it's good to get some big matchups in, so you don't see those guys just at the end of the season. But it was a good way to start off too. Shake some of the rust off. I was out of the lineup for a whole year. So, it's tough getting back into it, but, we're working on that. And, we may see him again this coming weekend up at the Binghamton Open. So, hopefully if we see there, get some redemption.
Right. And you're talking about shaking some of the rust off. You wrestled 149 last year, so coming back down to 141, yeah. What's the difference there?
Obviously, size difference, but, I wasn't really cutting much weight last year. But the biggest thing is kind of, getting back into my body, feeling a little sucked out a little bit and getting down to 141. It was a year and a half or 2 years since I've been down to that weight class for this past weekend's competition. So my legs are definitely feeling it, and I just gotta figure out the right way to get down there. And so we're working on that.
We'll go to fan questions now. We have Glenn Rice, his former two-time captain here at Franklin and Marshall. He's got a question for you, Mike. He wants to know that recruiting's been historically the biggest challenge for F&M relative to many other D1 programs. And his question is, what have you done in your 10 years coach to overcome this, and what improvements do you think still need to be made?
That's a good question. Like any program, recruiting is the heart and soul of a program and success. Really, there's a lot of moving parts, where there's a lot of NCAA and school policies that we have to deal with, and a little bit different than most other schools. So some of that stuff we're working on. Some of the stuff we can't change. We have to just deal with it. Not really get into the policies and rules and regulations of what that we have to kind of abide by. But really, how to overcome it? We just got to work harder. We try to outwork as much as we can all the other coaches that are recruiting, and I got a great staff with bringing in Andrew Alton, and Mike Childs has been a great recruiter for us, and every night we're on the phone talking to recruits and reaching out to people, emailing, phone calling, trying to get the best guys we can that are going to fit the parameters of what we have to do to recruit here. So what do we need to do to improve that? Is we just keep working and just try and find our niche and finding those right kids out there that fit F&M academically and the financial part of it. And, obviously we want the best wrestlers out there that we can get. So, so that's really what we're trying to do, just get the best kids that we can, guys like Rick Durso, and we're trying to duplicate that as much as we can. And the nice thing is having alumni like Glenn and those guys that, send us some, heads up on some kids maybe in their local area that we follow up on. So it's been a lot of work, but we built the recruiting class up every year. I think we do. Every year it comes up a notch, every year.
And this next question's for Rick. Glenn wants to know, what type of training did you do in your redshirt year to prepare for this season?
Well, so in the redshirt year, we tried not to switch it up too much because, getting laying off too much is a good way to kind of, I guess, lose your wrestling legs a little bit. I don't know how to put it, but, you still have to train just as hard as if you're competing. So, I got a bunch of, I think I wrestled in about 5 open tournaments in the course of the first semester. And then there's not really as much stuff to go to in the second semester as far as, opens and for red shirts and stuff.
Rick, what do you do to prepare mentally for big tournaments like EIWAs for national championships?
Mentally, for big tournaments, smaller tournaments, smaller matches, big matches, kind of all the same thing. You gotta just keep stay in the right mindset. Stay focused on, the here and now, not looking forward, especially in tournaments, not looking ahead to semifinals or finals. Or not looking past the EIWAs and straight to NCAAs. Really have to focus on the match that's right ahead of you and not take anyone lightly, because everyone can surprise you on any given day. I like to put on some music and then kind of blast it pretty loud so that I pretty much can't hear afterwards. But kind of gets me focused, and as Coach Rogers says, tunnel vision. So all you really see is just what's right in front of you. And that kind of gets me going a little bit.
Do you and your teammates pretty much have similar pre-bout routines? Would you say yours is different from other guys?
I think everyone's is different. Everyone has their little rituals that they do. I don't know, maybe someone puts their left sock on before the right, a certain way. But I just like listening to music. I slap myself a few times, get the blood pumping, and then once he'll vouch for me. I have red marks all over my legs when I go out, but once I stop feeling it, that's when I know I'm in the zone.
So this could be for either one of you, and we've gotten a few different fan questions about this one. What do in-season training programs and even out-of-season training programs look like for you guys, outside of the wrestling room? I know earlier this week you put on Facebook that you had some of the guys in the pool, and I think you even said wrestlers in the water is always interesting.
No, I think changing it up. I'm big at. I really believe in cross training and getting the guys doing different things, and doing pool workouts. We'll do a different circuit training. Just to mix it up, lifting, trying to break out the monotony and the routine of wrestling. It's nice out right now, so our warm up will be running outside until the weather turns. But I think for athletes, and I try to put my athlete hat on, and think about the times, and I know it's a grind and it's a long season, and you're doing double legs and single legs and stand ups day in, day out, and we try to mix up the training a little bit, so it takes some of the swimming takes the stress off of their joints, but it's still a good workout, especially if they can't swim. A lot of our guys, it's a struggle just to watch them swim. Rick's usually middle of the pack, but
so some of the upper weight guys are they? Some of the upper weight guys are they?
Surprisingly, some of the lighter guys have a struggle swimming too. So, but again, the hard if it's tough for you, it's a good workout. So, jokingly, we say the fear of drowning is a great motivator. So, but doing different training stuff like that, I know Rick does. He's the type of guy that likes to do different things too. So I think sometimes you got to treat athletes differently. And some guys you need to back off. Some guys you need to push a little bit more. Rick's very self-motivated. He does. I got to maybe keep an eye on him sometime because he likes to put in some extra workouts on his own, which can lead to some overtraining. So there's sometimes I got to pull the reins back on him a little bit. And some guys I got to kind of kick in the butt and get motivated to go. So
let's look ahead a little bit to the Binghamton Open this weekend. Mike, there's a lot of quality opponents that are going to be out there. Right now, there seems to be a few questions in your lineup. So is this a good way to kind of find some answers coming into next Friday's first home duel of the season?
Yeah, the blue-white was one kind of way to kind of set the stage for the Rutgers. We did make some adjustments and move some guys around, but what's nice about our location, we can get to a lot of open tournaments, and really, if one guy kind of shines over someone else, that maybe even won the blue-white, then it gives that person it might give that person an opportunity in one of the dual meets. But everyone's everyone's competing. I think it's important. That's the best way to learn, the best way to build your cardio, your wrestling skills. Is just go up and compete. So even guys that may never start for us, or are still trying to get in that lineup, in one season, they can wrestle 5-6 open tournaments, within a couple hours of their campus and get, 20, 30 matches in a season without wrestling one dual meet. So those open tournaments are very important, especially for our younger guys that are trying to figure out the college level and trying to break the lineup.
And then, Rick, 141 looks like an especially tough bracket Sunday. So you finished third last year. This year, there's going to be 4 wrestlers that made it in the round of 12, the NCAAs last season. There's going to be another All-American in Dan Neff of Lock Haven. So are there any matchups you're looking forward to on Sunday? Or, what are the goals going into this?
Yeah, as I said before, possibly seeing Ashnault again. That'll be good. Wasn't feeling 100% last weekend, so we'll see if I can try to turn something around this coming weekend. And then, Cornell's there. I think Princeton was there last year as well. So those are some good conference matchups that we won't see Cornell head to head in a dual meet, but we will see Princeton at least. So at least being able to see Cornell before EIWAs will be good. But yeah, like I was kind of saying before, you gotta kind of take everyone just as heavily as the next opponent. Not really putting more emphasis on one person over another, because at the end of the day, every matchup is pretty important, and there's room to build on everyone. But yeah.
Well, good luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for sitting down here with us, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks as always for sitting down here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. So, some other information: the Bearcat Open will be streamed live. That information can be found on the Franklin Marshall Wrestling schedule page. F&M's Wrestling Facebook has moved to a new fan page. You can find that information on the Fan Zone tab of GoDiplomats.com. And join us here next week when we preview the season's first home duel against Bucknell. It's going to be a Friday at 7:30.